Okay, so um, I've been having this crazy like ordeal with my coworkers at work, and not only that, it's not just been at this job, but constantly I just started noticing that it was a pattern every time that I like most jobs, like almost every single job that I've had since I've been here, and how God changed my walk and how I started going into social work, I will always get a promotion, okay? Um, but before that, I just noticed that this last time really started giving me more insight to understand what I was dealing with and not to just look at the person look that is operating out of this spirit of jealousy and envy, but to look at how I react to uh, to it too, because it does matter how you react um, jealousy, envy, and things like that. Before I go on, I do want to say this that it it's not we as believers believe that we do not fight against flesh but spirit. There are a lot of other people that believe the same thing that are not believers, and which is true. Which is true. We do not wrestle against flesh. It is spirit. So usually in your walk of life, when you're elevating and you're going in your purpose, you will face anybody. When you're going into your purpose and you're doing things that are positive and you're walking into your destiny or your calling, you come across different spirits and different principalities. This is not just physical, but anyhow, I noticed that at my jobs, I will have people who come out and they're really antagonizing toward me, um, or they're trying to taunt me or bully me. And this has not just been happening, like I said, with just this job. It's been more when I'm walking in my calling, or when I'm moving up or something like that. I've always had to face these obstacles, and it was only until recently when things started rearing its head, like, and I started noticing that okay, this is a spirit, so don't get mad at the person that is being used. Talk to the spirit, because I was like, man, should I leave this job? I'm so tired of it. Like, it's harassing. Like, it's like harassing spirits. Like, not it's always a game. Like, people are coming around. Oh, well, you're this, you're that, And I'll tell you about the story. Okay, I'll tell you about the story. Um, from the beginning, from this job. Now, this one job that I had, it was like when I first came in there, people were happy. When you're new, people, it's like your fresh meat. So people are gonna put their best foot forward. There's gonna be one that's gonna tell you about the whole dynamic. They think they know the whole dynamic of the company. They're gonna tell you the ins and outs. There's gonna be one to say that everything is perfect. There's gonna be some people that say everything is horrible. Then, like I said, it's gonna be the person that's gonna tell you the scoop. This is the people not to be around, and blah blah this. What they don't tell you, all of them don't tell you about their role in it. What things about them. So I should have combed my hair, but whatever. You guys already know I'm not trying to put on a show. So yeah, that's excuse me. That is what I got. It seems like I'm about to lose my voice. The devil is a lie. So yeah, I had that, and I was like, okay, I'm aware of that whole dynamic, the breakdown, um, because it is a certain thing that's just like um, a family dynamic. You have a work dynamic that's just that same way, So what I try to do is just find my place, and I used to try to find my place and fit in, but now that I am growing and developing, I'm getting stronger into who I am and what I want to portray in the world and who I'm called to be. Like just getting in alignment, like I said. So some of the things that I could do or I would used to do to fit in to avoid some of these things, I can no longer do. I can no longer do. I have to just stand and just do it the right way, which was God's way, and it really is a method um, to God's way to deal with bullies and to deal with these things. So when I first went in there, that's what happened. It was this one lady, she came in and she asked me just right off the bat, like, do you believe in God? Are you one of those believers? And I was like, what? I was like, yes. I said yes because I am, I don't want to deny it, but I was just like, what was her whole purpose of even asking that? She was like, well, I don't know. I don't like those believers and blah, blah, this. So I'm like, okay. And I said, that's good to know. And she's like, well, I don't want anybody pushing stuff down my throat. And I'm like, and I just kind of ignored the situation and redirected the situation because I'm like, okay, I wanted to say, did I answer the question right? But like I said, I don't want to deny God, but at the same time, it was like when someone asks you something like that, they have an ulterior motive. Just like her, she wanted me to feed and to drive off of that, and I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction and say, well, I'm not this, I'm not that. Some people come after not just believers, just people who they consider, threatening because of that. It's something that they are curious about or something that they don't like about one person, they would just attack. So you can't, you have to learn how to fight your battles. Choose and pick which battles. That's how I felt about it. And I was like, okay, weird, but I'm still thinking in the back of my head, okay, observation point, watch out. So she tells me about the lady who's supposed to be her best friend that I have to work with too, very closely. And I'm like, okay. So they're going around, they're breaking everyone down. I mean, telling me everything. And I'm like, okay, you try to ignore it. But at the same time, it's like, I was raised, if a dog that brings a bone carries a bone, meaning that if someone's bringing gossip to you and they're talking about someone else, chances are they're talking about you when you're not around. So because of that, you need to be careful with who you are. And, loose lips sink ships. Even if they're not even talking about you, if they're telling you everything right off the bat, they're not trustworthy to hold secrets, or they're saying things that were said in confidence from one person that they're cool with. That was a lot of things. Like the first 5 days they were doing this, that they were friends with for years, and they're just telling all their secrets to a total stranger. Guess what? They're going to do the same thing to you. So be careful with that. Loose lips sink ships. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, like I don't want to have to deal with this because I know when you don't play people's games and you try to go on a higher level, because I feel like this, everyone has setbacks and disappointments. Everyone falls short somewhere in life. We're not perfect. Me included, like we're not perfect, so we're gonna have some shortcomings. We're gonna have some things and some disagreements where we're not gonna always agree. We're not gonna always believe the same things, but we can still be cordial. We can still be respectful, and we don't have to tear each other down. We don't have to have the same belief system, but you don't have to tear me down. And just because if you feel that way, because people choose to tear other people down, you have that choice. It might not seem ethical, it might not be right, but you definitely have that choice. And I also have that choice not to participate in it. And I will not lower my standards to participate in it. I'm just not going to do it, not to please you or anything like that. Now, there was a time in my life where I felt like I would have to sit there and endure it, because I felt like my job was in jeopardy. Not even I felt like it. I knew my job was in jeopardy. But I've come to the conclusion as I got older that my emotional health is way more important than um, than having a job that is going to make me feel so down to the point where I can't even properly function. I probably get fired because I'm not properly functioning because it's a hostile work environment. So yeah. So listening to this, and the first time when when they asked me, oh, well, what kind of gossip do you have? I don't have any gossip because I'm trying to work on myself, you know, and try to better myself. I don't have time for it. Okay. So that's when the trickery, the everything else started to happen. Now I can't sit there, and hang out with them because um excuse me, I'm acting as if I'm better than them. Not only that, I'm being a goody two shoes and blah blah this and whatever have you, and I'm like, okay, well, and at this point, I'm like, you know what? Honestly, I'm relieved because I cringe like every time they would come, and every day that they come, I cringe sometimes because I know what they're gonna talk about. So I have to attune myself in a different direction just to, be calm and be, and you try to be cordial because you're like, I need to do my job. What I came here to do is get my money to do my job and let nothing deter that. So yeah. So as I'm doing that, and they're not getting to me at that, they're noticing that I'm like, whatever, I'm not. They take it to a whole nother level. Hiding the things that I need to do to get my work done, or not helping me, or criticizing me to, oh, this needs to be done, and this needs to be done, and then when you do it, oh, that's not done right, and blah blah this, and you're like, okay, well, can you tell me what did I do wrong, and oh, I just do it a different way, you know. So this is what I've been dealing with, and not only, or the other one comes out over and the other comes out covert, and the next one will say, oh, you're doing everything great, it's just great, it's just great, and then they go behind your back and say, oh, she is so slow, she needs to do this, she's not making up to par, but you're telling me the whole time that I'm doing great, or saying, oh, you don't need to do this, you don't need to do that, but then as I leave, which I walked into this situation like recently. I had one of the ladies who were supposed to train me, which her and the other ladies are really good friends, like, but they're the same dynamic, and a lot of people don't understand it. Well, some of the older people know, like the whole company know about these two people. They know what they do. Like when I brought it to their attention, they knew everything. When it started getting escalated, they knew how these people act. They were like, this is not their first time, blah blah this, whatever. So, um, this lady, she trained me, but she's like, oh, you're doing great, you're doing this, everything's fine, it's splendid, and you get back there and you're like, um, you get away from them, and then they're like, oh, well, she's too slow, she's not doing the part, she's not gonna make it, she's not gonna be able to do this, she's not gonna be able to do that, and it's like, why didn't you tell me that at the beginning so I can work on myself? But I noticed that it had nothing, it wasn't about me, it was about them, making themselves feel validated because they feel threatened, because of my abilities, and not only that, that their superior, which is both of our superiors, were like I said, made recommendations, was like, oh, she's great, she's this, I didn't even know what was in my profile until today when things started escalating, and how the lady was saying that I work really well, going against conflict and things like that, and how I'm very productive at work, and just giving me all these praises. But but it didn't change what was going on and how what I had to face. So it started. Ooh, okay. So it started to get me to realize and understand, because I was like, okay, I need to move and just do another job. But it made me realize, like, look, if I move again, if I do something else, it's going to happen. This spirit, it is a spirit. It is a, not, it's a spirit, it's a principality. It's like groups. So you can't run from it. You can't run from it. You're not, it's always going to be some people there, you know. And the more you try to dodge it, you know, the worse it's going to get. I'm a person, like I said, I had to deal with it. Um, I had to learn how to deal with confrontation. Like, I do not like confrontation. I do not like a lot of drama. I do not like yelling, and I don't like when people. I just like drama ish. Like, as far as, not to say confrontational. If you're able to express yourself and you're getting out what you need to get out, that's fine. I am a person that usually will think of things not being a big deal and don't see the red flags of it. That's what I'm learning. I don't see the red flags of what is transpiring to get that leads to that point, you know, because we always want to overlook and say, okay, well, this is just minor and just to overlook it. But those patterns add up into something bigger. And then when it gets bigger, that's when you see the explosion. That's when you see those physical manifestations of people, you know, acting weird and doing crazy things. When if you just nip it in the butt at the beginning, then a lot of these things can be alleviated. Not to say that you're not going to have any lashback or anything like that, because that's totally not true. But at least you know where you stand and you're able to move forward. So then when the next time it does come, you have that preparation. So this is what God has been giving me to deal with. Like, I cannot pass to the next level, and people are going to be like, what is the next level? Well, I can't go past this next level that God is trying to get to what he's calling me to do if I don't deal with this, because this is something that I'm going to have to deal with, dealing with people. This is it's just human nature. I'm going to have to deal with conflict. I'm going to have to deal with people being confrontational. I'm going to have to deal with people who are not emotionally developed to handle conflict, who do not know how to deal with stress management. That is the main thing why you have these conflicts like that, because a lot of people don't know how to deal with stress management. So then you have the projection, you have the self-infliction, you have those things like that. So, and it helped me because it was some of the things and some of the habits that I would do. You know, people would project things on me, and I would take it as if it was my own. You know, and had I not gone through this process and God not shown me this, I would have not seen these signs. I would not have seen what was transpiring in my life and how I played a part in letting things like this happen, because I would be like, okay, well, that didn't mean anything. It's just a small little thing, you know. Let's just ignore it, because I've been taught to ignore the small things and keep going. But sometimes you have to pay attention to that. You know, you have to be a good steward of because it will take away some things. You have to learn and pick your battles. But at the same time, you have to look at certain things, because if you let things linger and you let things get out of hand, it will grow and it will manifest to something that that could have been avoidable. You know, think about a person who has like a rotted leg and they have to get it cut. You know, usually it's from neglect. Usually when they have this, or it's a healthy person but they was like a diabetic and they didn't take care of their health. So eventually, you know, it's like, okay, well, it's not that bad. You know, I'm still gonna eat these sweets and everything, and they're like, you know, okay, well, you're getting these sores and things because of the sweets and the things that you're eating. You're not changing your patterns. You're not changing your lifestyle. You're living an unhealthy lifestyle. So then you have gout. Not only that, you have a leg that's about to be amputated because you refuse to make to cut off the things that were hurting you, um, or the things that you didn't put that thing in check, your impulses, your indulgence in check, and now you have a bigger issue to amputate. You have no other option but to amputate your leg or to just die an early death, instead of, preparing earlier to make things better, meaning that I'm going to get rid of this sugar and this flour and all this extra stuff that is helping, setting me back. I'm going to take my insulin right. I'm going to make the necessary precautions because I know this is happening. I know this transition is happening. So instead of me letting it manifest to something greater, let me nip it in the butt so that it's able to be contained and possibly even eliminated. So that's the same thing with this spirit and the issues with jealousy and envy and the lack of respect that I was getting and how I was being treated. That's what I was getting from God. Like, nip things in the butt, Yeah, so that's what he had me to do. I went and I had to take the necessary precautions. I wrote down my statements. I took pictures. I talked to, people because I wanted to make sure, even if it was by chance that she calms down, if this was to happen again, because these people are known to constantly do this. It just didn't happen with me. Even our own boss, that's literally above us, literally said that, this is what they do, and they've been here for decades. Now, when I say decades, I mean decades, But you are entitled to respect and decency according to the guidelines of this company. So we have to listen. So to prepare myself, I had to have the documentation, the written statements, this and that, and I was just like, is this unnecessary? Sometimes it's like, is it unnecessary? But it is necessary to protect yourself not only from those people, but from the people that have known for years that they've been doing this, because obviously they've been getting away with it, obviously, excuse me, since this is not the first instance, they've been doing it for a long time, and chances are they know they can get away with it, so they're going to effortlessly do it again. So, like I said, this was in my workplace, and like I said, God has been giving me to prepare that, not only with that, but with the people that I am around, loose lips sink ships. I just had to distance myself, and not to say that, I'm not, friends, I hate her or anything. It doesn't have to deal with disrespect. You just have to distance yourself and be away from certain people. I had to distance myself from someone who I considered close because, for one, she disrespected what my values were and what my wishes were, which I clearly explained to her based off of my values, my personal values, and my beliefs, because she had no regard for it. Not only that, she was kind of very flaky. She's a very flaky person, and I had to deal with that. And I know that pulls on my heartstrings because I was a flaky person in the past, and I didn't understand how people are. When people are around you, they're putting an investment in you. See, that's growth. That's really growth. I had to understand that with myself. They can be with people can choose who they want to be with, and if someone chooses you, and it's really genuine, just be grateful for that. But I didn't understand. I never separated because who was really for me and who was really against me. I just thought since if someone was there, they're for me. But not only that, I never delegated. I didn't get to the point where I delegated what was important, and because of that, on some things I was overcommitting myself, and when the things came, I would not be able to do it, or I get so tired, or it just felt like I did not want to do it. Like I was pressured into a lot of things. A lot of people would put things on me just because they know that I can deliver and things like that. So being overwhelmed, sometimes you can be flaky because you don't know how to say no, and you don't know, um, you want to help everyone. Not to say that you literally just don't know how to say no, but they will definitely say no. So yeah, but anyhow, so this girl, this lady, um, she was very flaky. Um, and not only because I had to look at it, I was like, is it because she's doing a lot of things? No, she was just very flaky because she just didn't want to do it. She was just a very overall lazy person. And I was like, okay, in order for me not to be lazy, I have to distance myself. I have to, or not to be hurt by her or to be drugged down. I have to distance myself. God was showing me like what she's doing is no longer serving you. Like I literally had to, okay, stop the communications because even though I expressed what was going on and it was hurting me, or you're trying to reach back, it's not working. So you need to, uh, I needed to just slowly just stop talking to her. Not only that, I would see like her being flaky, meaning that she would say one thing and I would ask her, okay, if you're talking to this person, I don't even think I should have this discussion, but I'm talking to if I'm talking to you and you know that uh you have a friend that we don't get along or something like that, you shouldn't be saying anything to this friend about me. And you shouldn't yeah, and she shouldn't be saying, you shouldn't be saying anything to that friend about me, and you shouldn't be saying anything to me about that friend. Because if we're both your friends, as you claim, then um that's what it is. And I have a lot of people I'm cool with them, and I'm definitely not friends with some of those people that they're with, and that's okay. But I try to keep the boundaries of respect. Like, don't bring them up. I don't really, if we're not friends, I don't really care for what they're doing. I wish them the best. However, if you have any issues with that person or anything, just be respectful because they are human. They have, just because we don't get along doesn't mean that you don't have respect for their feelings and their privacy and things like that. So she would go to the point where she would talk about these people or people that I no longer associate with, she was still associating with. And I was noticing that she would not only try to tell me things, but she would slip up and say some of the things that she told them about me. And I clearly asked her, don't, say. So I was like, you know what? I'm putting you in a situation where, and she said she wouldn't, but let me tell you this. God says a double-minded person will get nothing from God. So for me listening to this and you going back and forth, I'm not going to put you in that position. I'm not going to put you in that double-minded position where you're playing both sides. So guess what? I'm going to give you space as well. I'm going to give you space as well. That was another issue that I had to deal with because this is, like I said, this is not just a physical thing. You have to understand it is a spiritual thing, and once you get into that elevation, some of these people are going in circles themselves. And I was looking at her life and how my life used to be and how she fit in my life before, but she no longer fitted because I had a changed mind. I had a repentant and a new mindset as far as how I deal with people, how I react to people, how I, react to myself, and how I'm trying to make myself better. So, yeah. So, like I said, God has been getting me, and I know a lot of people are going through this themselves. They are going through this themselves because it, nothing is new under the sun. Nothing is new under the sun. And like I said, some of the things that I've been going through and the changes that I've been going through, I've noticed that once I master it, and once I, not only master it and keep focus on it, things turn. It gets really ugly at first, but it turns out better. and then it's like almost like the enemy is like, okay, now I can't use this anymore. I have to find something else. But not only that, it's letting you know that you're leveling up. Some of the things that offend you, some of the things that offend me before don't offend me so much. So those things, like I said, those same tactics, um, they're no longer working. So yeah, yeah. Yeah. Remember that. So if you are dealing with the spirit of jealousy, envy, the spirit of jealousy, it's not. People think that it's just, oh, we're jealous people. You have to look at it from a spiritual aspect. You have to look at it all around, because most people who carry this spirit had this for a long time. Like I've had this. I want to say not just it was like a territory, like literally it's a gang. It's a gang. It's not just, just jealousy. It's envy, bitterness, anger, all those things, fear. All those things come in that cluster of that. All of those things come in that dark cluster. So you have to take it as a whole and take it spiritually more than physically, and understand that some of those people, when they're going through this process and they're being mean and they're being backstabbing and things like that, because I used to be like, oh yeah, they're backstabbers, they're fake people, blah blah blah. Some of those people, wow, some of those people are not just doing that because they want to seek revenge and they're just angry. Most of those people start out being hurt and they don't know, like I said, they don't know how to let go, how to relieve, how to get back up, they've been down so long, they just get so angry and they get so bitter. Um, that's the same thing with one of the main ladies who gives me so much flack at this one job. Like, you can tell that she's been hurt so much, and that she knew that certain things weren't going right in her life, but you get complacent, you get stuck, and you don't want to move, and now you're at this spot where you're like, okay, I have to stick this out because I have no other options now. My options are slimmer now because I'm older, and some of the doors I have closed. You know, if you're going to another job, she's been there so long, like she's almost ready for retirement. Well, not actually, she's got a couple of years for retirement, but almost to the thing of retirement. But you don't have, the back. There's a lot of issues. So yeah, yeah, remember it. Um, work through those problems. Don't back down. Don't back down. That was another thing that um, God was showing me about unfinished business, and I think someone needs to hear that too. Like, because when you go through these things like that, usually it's dealing with things that um, you needed to take care of, and you're getting another opportunity. With me, it's a definitely change for my life, because when God opened my eyes to it and to see really what was going on, because I did have a spirit of worthlessness, I guess, or I guess rejection, because of how I grew up, and that how people tell the story about me, which I don't really kind of like, because everybody has its own opinion, but they don't really ask me, like, and even during this process, when I was going through what I was going through, a lot of people didn't ask me, how do you feel about this? What do you believe about this? Like, you know, yeah, but I had those spirits, feeling my viewpoint does not matter, and according to someone else, it does matter. You do have a viewpoint, even though my viewpoint was saying that my emotions on how I treat people is not going to how I'm feeling is not going to deter how I treat you. We do go under stress. When you are under duress and under stress, you tend to act um, in ways sometimes that are not close to your character. And I've had those issues too, especially when I had people manipulating me, but it always retracts back. So, um, yeah, I have those issues, but like I said, through this time, God has been showing me that it's not the person, it's the spirits. And if you deal with that and you deal with it from the spiritual perspective, when it comes again and it roars its ugly head and you direct yourself towards it and you direct the problem head on, you will be able to stand and conquer it, and you won't be, it won't falter. So, um, yeah, that's it. Hopefully something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem. Thank you.